Watch and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight I am going to be discussing Radiohead's fucking absolutely awesome 2003 effort, and that is Hail to the Thief. This is their 6th full-length record that they have. Up until this point they'd released, of course, because back in 2003, Jesus Christ, I just went completely off the rails. Well, anyways, I am going to be discussing Hail to the Thief, and it's because of Cash Lost 2, which is a fantastic YouTube name, by the way. Cash Lost 2. Fuck. How much cash have I lost to? See? It's a great name. It's because of this comment here, wondering if, like, whether or not I know anything about Radiohead, and if I would be interested in discussing them. And I've just been so, I guess, like, overwhelmed by everything that I'm doing that things get kind of lost in the shuffle. Now, I'd already made notes about Radiohead records that I wanted to discuss, but I just hadn't gotten around to them. And then when I saw this comment, I was like, you're fucking right. I was planning on coming out tonight and talking about the movie Kid thing, but then I was like, I saw this comment, and it's true. Hail to the Thief was the first Radiohead record that I bought, and it was the first Radiohead record that I loved, because up until that point I didn't really think that much of Radiohead. So yes, I will forego doing Kid thing right now, and I will discuss Radiohead's big-time transitory record. I would class it transitory. I don't even know if transitory is a word. But this is kind of like bridging what was left of the old, and then sort of bridging everything that was to come from this point forward, as far as introducing an even heavier sense of use of electronics and synthesis and whatnot. And like I said, this was my introduction to the band. Prior to this, I mean, I knew who they were back during, like, the grunge explosion of the early 90s. They were sort of wrongly lumped into that because of Creep, and somehow Radiohead was seen as sort of this grunge band when really they weren't. I mean, they were anything but grunge. So I never loved Pablo Honey. I never really loved the Bends, and I'm not really wild about OK Computer either. It isn't until this record came out in 2003. I bought this record just based off the strength of the artwork. I absolutely love the way that the artwork looks. I mean, I love how it's apparently supposed to be a map of Hollywood. And I love how, like, you know, addresses have been replaced by words like, you know, consume and whatnot. So sort of like a nod to John Carpenter's They Live, in a sense. Now, the artwork was done by Stanley Donwood, who's a longtime artistic collaborator of the band. He's done artwork for a number of their records. And this, to me, that was the thing that got me to buy this record. I kind of got this vibe, like, based off how odd the song titles were, like, and then coupled with how unique the artwork was. And I just loved the font that they used, and I loved the feel of the record, not having heard a single song from this, and already sort of having a sort of a preconceived understanding of what Radiohead were. I said, fuck it, and even though I don't like this band, I'll buy it anyways. I was working at Zellers in Bowmanville at that point, so I got the discount, whatever it was, and the record was new, so it wasn't very much money, so I said, fuck it. And I wasn't wrong. Now, I love 2 + 2 = 5, which is a very obvious nod to George Orwell's absolutely epic 1948 novel known as 1984. 2 + 2 = 5 is also known as The Lukewarm. I also love Sit Down, Stand Up, Punch Up at a Wedding. It's funny, because I've been involved in a punch up at a wedding. Really a long time ago, I was at a friend's wedding, and it turns out that the bride-to-be was fucking someone on the side, and they were at the wedding, and then the groom, who was like a semi-friend of mine, found out, and he started attacking the dude. Me and a couple other people had to, like, get in the middle of it. And I think my favorite part about this is the other text that's attached to Punch Up at a Wedding, in brackets, is no, 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 no. And yeah, that's exactly what we were all saying. Like, he was trying to kill the dude, and we're all like, no, 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 you don't want to do that. Fucking calm down. You're not even, you haven't even married the chick yet. You're not in too deep. Just cut your losses now. So I thought that was really appropriate. Myxomatosis, which is also judge, jury, and executioner, as well as Scatterbrain, as Dead as Leaves. I don't get the second titles, but then again, I don't really get the primary titles either. But the one thing that I definitely get is how it's like Radiohead, like, they wear their influences on their sleeves, at least at this point they were. Like, it's very clear that York and company were listening to a lot of Aphex Twin, a lot of like Warp Records type shit, because like I said, that influence is running wild all over this record. And actually it's all over this record kind of forward. Their sort of love of like British IDM would become such a prevalent part of their overall sound. And I think that it adds a lot too, because like I said, I don't love earlier Radiohead. Like I don't know, I just don't care for OK Computer. And I know that record is seen as quite possibly the best record of the 90s, and I just can't feel that. I just don't feel anything coming from that record. In their like grunge days, no, at that point I was really into Nirvana and they weren't wild enough. So when this record came out and I decided to buy it, I was expecting that, I'd know what I was getting myself into, but I was so happy and I was just so blown away by how catchy every song was. Like 2 + 2 = 5 and Sit Down and Stand Up through Mixomatosis, those 3 songs have so much, I would almost argue, pop appeal in a very sort of dreamy Radiohead sense, that I felt like this record was underappreciated as far as like sort of Much Music and MTV were concerned. I felt like this record should have gotten them a larger audience, because I feel like they're Radiohead, so on one hand they don't really need a larger audience, but what they do need is like, I don't know, I felt like they just kind of got passed over as far as having more pop appeal. I felt like they should have got like bigger with the kids based off this record, because at this point I think I was like 23 or 24, and I just absolutely fell in love with this record so effortlessly. Like, it's the melodies, the harmonies, the instrumentation, everything just comes together and creates this really clean and effective sounding record that here it is 20 years later, and I still love it just as much as I did back then. But look, I am gonna go because this thing ran way too long. So, like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But please, most importantly, do not forget that the world is a better place because you are in it. I'm gonna go. Have a good night. And I hope this was, like, on point or some shit. I don't even know if anything I said made sense. Sorry.